I want to start out with a quote. You know, I've been chasing down, I've got pages and pages of quotes because when I like them, I write them down. I'm interested in history, and this one caught my attention. Labor is prior to and independent of capital. Capital is only the fruit of labor and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is the superior of capital and deserves the much higher consideration. Abraham Lincoln, 1861. I wrote it down wrong. 1861, I'm sure. So that's Abraham Lincoln's approach, and may have had something to do with him getting assassinated. I don't know. And then, so I thought I'd give a brief update on this project. This is my stove-powered battery charger, and inside here are a bunch of what's called thermoelectric generators, that when you heat up one side and cool down the other side, electricity comes out of it. And you might be more familiar with this type of approach when you have a cooler that you plug into the lighter of your car, and it tends to cool the stuff that's inside it. That's how it works. It uses one of these Peltier devices. So in this case, they call it a thermoelectric generator because you're using it the other way. Anyway, the last time I hooked this up and used it, the pan got to be about 350 degrees, and the heatsink the heatsink's supposed to keep the cold side cold, and it got up to about 200 degrees, so that's too hot. And I got 9 volts out of it, but it wasn't enough to really start generating enough power to recharge the battery. So at that time, I sort of decided I need to go to a water-cooled system. Well, since then, I've built another one. This is another heat sink, and except I've machined it to have the shape of the underside of this. So now I'll be able to weld this whole thing shut, and then what I'm going to do is drill a hole in there and relieve a little bit on every other one like this, so that the water has to go through back and forth, and then come out this way. And so I got this little thing to attach in here, and another one here, so that I can just add the hose in and a hose out. And then I had to order, you can't even buy these, I had to order it from the Home Depot, but a drill bit and this kind of tap that will tap the hole for these pipe threads. So anyway, this project is, I don't know if it's on your list over here, Kelly, but this project is one that I'm working on, and I haven't really involved the group in it at all because it's sort of an on my own project, and
yeah, we learn as we go kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, so eventually the idea of being able to recharge your batteries using heat is something that I would incorporate into a rocket stove. And if it's a rocket stove water heater, this would be the first stage of the water heating, would be used to cool the devices, and then the water coming out would be a little bit warmer, and then it would go into further coils to finish heating it. So anyway, that's what's going on there.
So what is your next step in this?
So I still have to finish machining these and weld it and do all the stuff, and then I will attach this upside down inside that pan so that I can circulate water through, and then just use it on a stove. And I would have my voltage control, my charge controller that's really for solar panels, but it'll work in this case. I went through the math. The charge controller, once you get up to like above 20 volts, it starts to produce power going into a 12-volt battery. So, and it self-regulates, because solar panels are also a little bit hard to control like these devices are. So that's what controls the power coming in, and then puts it into what charges the 12-volt battery. So that'll be, I'll probably videotape it so that I can show it up in here and stuff like that.
Trygve, your initial idea for the rocket stove was to have a unit that would heat efficiently using wood, right?
Yep.
But then include this element to it so that the rocket stove would also power batteries and also a water heating capacity, right?
Right.
So this is just one element on that overall project
Exactly.
that you're trying to perfect.
Okay, so thanks for bringing that up, because what happened was, I kind of got stuck with looking at the big project all as one great big project, because I didn't have this working. So what I did was I changed my mind, and I just went out and bought a pan, and I
Right.
said, you know what, I'm just gonna try and perfect this element of the project
Right.
all by itself, and once I get that working, then I can go back to
And incorporate.
it into the
Perfect.
overall project, right?
I love it.
And you know, the idea is also to finish that whole idea. If you had batteries being charged,
Uh-huh.
that same battery would be operating the pump that's circulating water through the system,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And maybe the light that you're using to be able to see for loading wood, you know, a lot of that stuff. But in the long run, you'd have a system that heats your water, charges your batteries when the sun's down.
Right,
And there's
right.
no solar power, right?
Right.
And sort of gives us that self-sufficiency, which is part of our, and maybe I'll just state our mission statement, right? Our mission is to strengthen our self-sufficiency by cooperating on projects
Close enough.
that contribute to human prosperity.
Right.
Right? So even if we're cooperating on projects or doing things individually, in the long run, we're trying to contribute to the prosperity of all humanity, right? Like sharing things that can, this notion, I don't intend to make a rocket stove that I can get rich on. I want people to be able to harvest their own free energy, right? So, anyway, there's that.
Do you see with this project any opportunities for members to be involved other than you?
It's my opinion that if there's a way that I can get into production, like making multiples of them, then I would,
Okay.
right? But, you know, now that you've brought that up, I could go back to a different quote just to put a finish on this little part of my presentation. 1 in 10,000 of us can make a technological breakthrough capable of supporting all the rest. The youth of today are absolutely right in recognizing this nonsense of earning a wage. Buckminster Fuller. All right, Buck.
You know what I would love with this is a illustration. I don't know if you're able to like, I can't envision
Okay.
how this will be in the end.
That's something I have to work on. I can't present right now, but thanks, I'll do that.
I'm struggling to see how this would be physically, where somebody would have it and,
Right.
you know, with the pump
Right.
and,
I get it. I'm sure that's true for everybody.
I get it.
Well, yeah, but I understand the concept. You're perfecting this element of it, and you'll reincorporate into your rocket stove as you get this perfected. I think that's great.
Right. Okay, thanks. So what I wanted to talk about was, today, was kind of more of the, what's going on nationally, or what's going on locally, kind of and where that, bridge that gap a little bit. You know that the worldwide goal here is for us to have one small town in which they start to incorporate businesses that generate food first, and then sell the food outside of that community and take the money back to help feed more projects and sort of become prosperous in one small town. And that's the goal, but it's kind of tough, I think, for us here in this big city to administer that sort of thing. So I wanted to take us maybe on a little bit of a one small town tour. Other people have called it Ubuntu Village, and other movements within this liberty movement, if you will, have called it resource-based economy, self-sufficient living, communes. There's a lot of different things that, and there's quite a different, Michael Tellinger would draw a huge distinction between a commune, which is sort of an enclosed group, like the Venus Project, and an Ubuntu Village, which is really an open community where people can come and go and everybody's welcome, and the main objective is to become contagious and spread throughout the whole world, as opposed to just taking care of us and our needs in a closed community. So anyway, I went down and made a list of just kind of the small towns that I've experienced or heard about or whatever. So Waterval Boven is Michael's hometown. Okay, so he started out, he converted his, there was a community center there, and I don't know if you guys had ever kept up with all that activity that was going on several years ago, actually, by now. And in that small town, it was a town of about 6,000 or so, I think, and they had a fish farm that was abandoned long ago, and he wanted to take over on the fish farm and start producing enough fish to feed the community for free and generate free electricity, and I think he struggled with that town. It's probably still a lot of awake people and interesting, but I think he's moved on. He's trying to find a better example of a place. The first one that I experienced within the Ubuntu USA movement was in a place called Bolton Valley. It's in kind of Bernie Sanders' hometown, or in his neck of the woods. Forgotten what state now, but Pennsylvania maybe, something like that. Anyway, it was a ski area, and it had a beautiful resort, and these people wanted to turn it into a kind of an Ubuntu village. And from the beginning, it was like, oh, well, we need $500,000. Oh, really? Well, wait a minute. I thought this was Ubuntu was this money-free living, this living without needing money. Why should we contribute? I sort of, I was taken aback a little bit. And that project, and they did get a lot of funding, and they worked on it, and I think it's actually rehabilitated now a little bit. I'm not sure what the status is, but I've kind of moved on because I'm more focused what's near Minneapolis, right? That's what I'm looking for. And by that same token, Brazil had a couple of towns that were going to just convert over, and Michael had gone there to. There she is. Hi, Christine. Then there's North Frontenac. Oh wait, Walsenburg. Yeah, so great people, great support from those people. They have a problem of no mayoral support. And some of these I'll have another slide on each one, but North Frontenac is struggling a little bit, but they're making good progress. That's probably one of the best examples we have going right now. This Prairie Creek settlement, I want to introduce you guys to this place this morning, if you hadn't heard of it. The Pure Bliss Ranch, and Melissa will have a lot more to talk about that today. And then, I think of local projects, even though we don't live in one small town. I always want to mention that, because whatever our local projects are, let's get them going. So here, I just did this out of curiosity. This little map just kind of says, okay, so here we are, right? We're up here in Minneapolis. North Frontenac, 17 hours. Okay, let's all buzz over there and see what we can do to help. Walsenburg, right here, okay, 15-hour drive. I've been there a couple times. It's fantastic, but it's not it's not easy to get there. This place, Prairie Creek Settlement, is right here. It's in the corner of Missouri, and it's pretty awesome. I don't know that we're ever going to be able to do anything with it, but I at least want to teach you about what's going on there. And Pure Bliss Ranch is only 4 hours from here. Okay.
Well, we're all networked
Yeah.
in a way that's instant. So awesome. We can network with all these people.
Yeah, yeah. And
That's
I
amazing.
can show you, I don't know if I have my email up, but I'll tell you a little bit more about what's going on with Prairie Creek Settlement.
Thank you.
So North Frontenac, and I just listed a few things that I know of that's going on with North Frontenac. So Mayor Ron Higgins was already a beekeeper before he started this project. And so he thought, well, honey would be a great investment because we can incorporate a lot of things, and it's an easy project to start. Might not be that easy for us, but it's an easy project for them. And so he started with investors who wanted to invest some money to get the materials to build more beehives. And he figured they needed at least 50. And then he's going to need some builders, and then he's going to need some landowners who would allow for the bees to be on their property. and then some beekeepers to go take care of the honey, and then some distributors to distribute it throughout. So he's just kind of like setting up a business plan, which I thought, that's really clever.
And it's
And-
already something he knows how to do, so.
Yeah,
And these are
and I have, I forgot to install it in my thing, but I have a picture of all these beehives that they've built, and it looks like there's about 20 or 30 of them. And they're in progress, getting beehives made and distributed throughout the landowner's area. And so his other ideas and their team, Mayor Higgins has actually, presented this to the board and everything. And there's been some reluctance and stuff, but he kind of steps back and makes sure that he doesn't have any investments, so that he wouldn't have a conflict of interest, so to speak, being the mayor, earning money on beekeeping. That's not what, he's backed out of it, and he's created this, this Contribute and Thrive. They've created, a different group has created this Contribute and Thrive operation. And then he just encourages other investors to come get on board and stuff. So that's really working, I think. They're planning to make a radio station, do some ecotourism, recycle plastics, and then make those plastics available for other industry to use. They have canoe making, and the idea there is build a canoe and then auction it off. And the Airbnb that they're working on is to try and encourage more visitors. As soon as he started this project, he got overwhelmed with people who, oh, you're doing one small town? I want to come up there. How can I help? What can I bring? These are my skills and stuff like this. He just got overwhelmed with emails and phone calls and stuff of people that wanted to go up to North Frontenac. So he wanted to set up an Airbnb so that people would at least have a place to stay when they're in town. Another idea came up to have aquaponics, and
I think Airbnb free, how about?
Airbnb free.
How about that?
Yeah.
We can start
I
at
like
my
it.
house.
I like it.
Like the little free library, but real estate.
Right. So to be clear, I think that it's difficult for a one small town to do anything without making money. And I'm torn about this whole topic, whether you should try and make money or not, because I'd rather just make self-sufficiency. But the flip side of that coin is it's hard to get any investment into the materials needed for industry without having some income.
It's all so easy and abundantly available.
Okay.
What?
Everything we need to create everything we want.
I tend to agree with you, and frankly, I'll dip my foot into either type of project. See, so going back to what I was doing here, I've spent money on this, like dollars.
Your
right?
stove.
Yeah.
I love it.
But because you can't do this kind of project for free.
Can we
So-
have one at our place and build them together or something?
Yeah,
Okay,
I'm still
good.
working on it.
Okay,
I'm
good.
still working on it. I'll let you know.
Okay.
Anyway, this offer came up from somebody from Norway, and they were so interested in North Frontenac that they wanted to donate $12 million for a aquaponics installation up in North Frontenac, where they would be able to generate food, 12 months a year. And the last interview that I saw, he was still contemplating whether that was a good idea, because he didn't want to just like accept it because they're, just because they donated money, he didn't want to necessarily accept that. Anyway, another project is the senior housing, and that's also additional housing for contributors. And they have this North Frontenac, there's sort of like a group of houses on a lake down there. And there was one other project that I forgot to mention on here, but they're actually building a whole, what they want to do is to build a whole series of earth ships. And so they've taken and subdivided some land, and they've got, a 1 acre parcel is $40,000, or I can't remember what all the prices are, but this is actually going to cost money. But the idea is to have awake people, like-minded people come in and build an earthship in there with the help of the community and everything, and then start sort of a community of earthships. And then the other project I thought I'd mention, because I like beer, they have craft brewery, and I've heard it's really good. So they have a brewery up there now. So here's a quick rundown of Walsenburg, Colorado, and you guys have heard this before, so I'll go through it quickly. But Brian Rossino is a real interesting guy who does grant applications, and he's really good with language and writing up proposals and working with government and working within the system that we have today. And he's also a believer that you can't do anything without money. So he's going to get the money and then implement it. And he said, and if you're good at writing grants, you'll get money. And he's been doing that, and he's got this restaurant called Table One, and they operate a farmer's market in there, and they have often free meals for people, and I don't know what all, but a lot of the vegetables that they're harvesting, they come and prepare there in the restaurant, and I think you can also go in there and you know, buy a meal if you're just coming through town or whatever. So it's a restaurant, but it also caters to a lot of this effort. He's also been gardening. His I met him just about 6 weeks ago again, and his rototiller got stolen. So I mean, everybody who's in this movement is going to have problems, and that's the kind of problem that you might have. But he's gotten the city to donate. I think the garden down by the river is 6 acres. And,
What's the problem, Trygve? I'm sorry, I missed that.
His rototiller got stolen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what are you going to do?
Sure.
Just like
It's gotta
everybody
be-
has these kind of problems, right?
Well, yeah, that's what, yep.
So
Well, you know I have my ideas. but-
and he's procured a wind generator, and he's developed water catchment up on top of the roof of the high school, and then there's a garden just down the hill from there, and they're trying to get the high school kids to come out and get their fingers dirty and be working in the soil and maintaining the vegetable gardens, partly because, you know, we need to get our youth involved in this. If you want to try and get this consciousness to grow and spread, we need to get our youth involved. And he also does, you know, kind of like using these vegetables, how do you turn that into food? So he teaches these cooking classes and stuff. Very inspirational guy. Frank Kirkpatrick, he's owns the transition house, and if you go there and work for him for 4 hours, you get a warm meal and a bed to sleep in. Every day, get up and... So the transition movement has been around for about a decade now, maybe 2. The transition from, you know, our money society to a moneyless society, that's kind of what it's based on, the transition movement. And so he calls his place the transition house. Diana Spar we stayed at her place. She owns this 4-story building that's like 20,000 square feet. It's called a Mercantile. And inside that, so that's where the train would stop. And anybody who, you know, it's a mining town, so back in the day, I'm sure they had gold or coal or whatever they were mining, would get on the train, and then things would get dropped off from the train. So it was a kind of a place of exchange. Very interesting. She owns this building, and right now they're using it. It's a place you can stay if you're in Walsenburg, but it's also a place where they're trying to get some aquaponics and hydroponics and indoor gardening growing in there. Josh Walters is an interesting character. He's kind of the Johnny Appleseed. He goes around town and knocks on the door and says, "You mind if I grow some vegetables in your backyard?" And people go, "Well, sure." And he told me he's never really had anybody say no. So he only knocks on the doors that he really wants to, you know. And the advantage there is he'll rototill up a little space and start growing some vegetables, and then he'll be able to stop by when he's going to weed the garden. He'll stop by and he'll talk to the people and sort of inspire them and have a community, it's networking. gives them an opportunity to come back and talk to them again. Rebecca Saltzman is been coming around, I think, maybe about a year now. She has a pretty cool idea that she wants to convert the jail into a living quarters, use it. There's a jail on the side of town that's abandoned. And so she also is trying to get with people, you know, working with the government to try and figure out, well, how do I get those doors open so that we can go in there and use the facility?
Cool.
And also Rebecca Gratz, who you guys know is the national coordinator for Ubuntu USA. She lives up on Gold Hill, which is just outside of Boulder. And so it's about a 4-hour drive for her down to Walsenburg. And she and I don't know who all else, several people are planning to purchase this farm on the edge of town. And I guess there's a homestead there, there's a large barn, and then there's plenty of acreage that they could either use for growing food or for you know, subdividing and having other people move in there and things like that. Now I want to introduce you to, and I'm not positive how to say this, but I think it's Yiska. So this lady in the middle here is Yiska, and
Jessica.
Yiska,
I have a friend with that
Okay.
name. Jessica.
you know her?
I don't know her, but I have a friend with that name.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so Yiska, and by the way, I tripped over this lady by accident, pretty much. It was on the Free Worlder application website, and I just sometimes just sort of cruise, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna instant message this person and see what they're up to. And she had a call out to people that if you wanted to come and join a community, right? And the word Ubuntu popped up, and that sort of made it, I was like, oh, radar was on, okay, let's see what that is. Anyway, so she had gotten really involved with Ubuntu about 4 years ago. Okay, so I think she mentioned 2014. And you can see there's Michael and Judah, her partner, spouse, I don't know. Anyway, so back in those days, Michael was coming through town and stopped and visited with these guys, and she got to know him and really started liking the Ubuntu story. So this is Yishka's story. She has 8 children between 1 and 18. She's done unassisted home birth, and she's homeschooling all of them, right? So that kind of gives you the flavor of who this lady is, right? She's hardcore. She's hardcore. She and Judah own this debt-free property down in Missouri, and she calls it in the Ozarks. And they want to dedicate this property to creating an Ubuntu village. They want to find some qualified partners for such a task, and that's the most challenging part, is finding like who would come here and how would they be qualified and how could they help and stuff. On the property there's a lake and a creek, some springs. They have a deep well. She said it's even connected to the aquifer, so it'll stay good fresh water forever. They've got raised bed gardens and an orchard and a lot of forest on the land. They also have a shop, a bunch of mobile homes. She said they're in sort of a various state of disarray or in need of help, but people could get into them. They have dairy cattle, goats, rabbits, chickens, and jumbo quail, which, by the way, I tried. I went to the co-op and got some quail and tried quail just because I wanted to see if I liked it. And it had been a long time since I've ever tried it. And I've heard that people are raising quail and rabbits to eat because they're super easy. And it was delicious. Okay. They also have on the property a 2-man sawmill, a mechanical shop, a woodworking shop, and so people could be employed in working or working for money if they sold things or if they just did things for the property. They also have power, water, phone, satellite, internet. They have plans to install wood gas units and methane digesters for power generation. And It's also a Native American church, I guess. I'm not all that clear what that means, but come on in. Okay.
No, I'm looking for someone.
Okay, great. So, anyway, that having some Native American protection, treaty protection, might give protections that, I don't know, less restrictions.
Treaties are not protected.
Well, maybe not. Maybe, you
We
know,
just broke four.
just another farce, right?
Yeah, they're not protected.
Well, so their goal is to invite people who are eager to work towards the Ubuntu life. And if anybody's interested in this sort of thing, or could, go down, you know, I'll go back to this map. We're talking about right here, okay? So it's a 10-hour drive, and it's in the Ozarks. So this is their website right here, Prairie Creek Settlement. And if I had a lot more time, I would just go onto the website and show you, but you guys are welcome to go to. It's inspiring. The website is very inspiring. It's called prairiecreeksettlement.com. So then that brings us to the Pure Bliss Ranch, and this is, I guess, owned by Martin Seeger, or both Martin and Darwin.
Well, it's a whole family, so that they can have the acreage and stuff that they
Okay.
have. So it's Martin and Darwin
Can I
are.
stop for 1 second? So we're gonna move into projects then?
Yeah, well, so let me just buzz
Do you have
through what I
anything
have to
else?
say, and then
Yeah, go.
Pardon me, Trygve, can I get a book for a guest?
absolutely.
All right. Are they
Oh,
up here? Oh, no books?
I forgot the books today.
That's okay.
Oh my goodness.
We'll
Did
make sure
anybody
you
bring
get one.
that we can donate?
So I don't want to interrupt your meeting, but I am interested in this. I've never heard of it.
Hi, well, come on in. So I'm just about done with my presentation, and then I'd like to talk to you.
What is it now?
So this Pure Bliss Ranch,
Do you have a book, Hank?
very encouraging
No.
place.
Okay.
They host gatherings, events. They have a sawmill, and so I'm thinking, well, maybe we could bring them some trees or some lumber to cut up or something like that. And with that, they're able to harvest forest that's already on the land and build things. They have a 10 kilowatt generator. It's a monster.
Yeah.
It looks like it's really working, so they
Oh,
already
yeah.
have 300 out
They're
there.
getting 800 kilowatts a second.
Yeah.
There, the wind was just going. We
Yeah.
actually had to keep energy on and like
Right.
power
Burn as
systems
much as you
on
can.
because we were collecting so much energy at
Right.
that point. We had to just burn it at that point. Yeah, it was crazy.
And they're located right on the White Earth River, and I know that Martin's goal is to have the water leave his property in a more pure form than when it came on his property. So, I mean, it's an interesting goal. Be cool to get some technology in there that would do that. And they're also on Native American land, so they would have less restrictive building codes. And I don't really know what the next step is. Use your imagination.